Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mile High Sports Symposium. I'm JT Matthews, and I'm here with the doctor at Nicholas Manning and Manning. What did you change it to? Actually, it's been a while since I've done this.
It's not different. Yeah,
I know, but
still the same game.
I don't say it all the time now.
Yeah, @DR_N Manning on Twitter. You can find him at JTMatthews01 on Twitter. However, our handle for Instagram and Twitter for X, whatever, for the podcast is at DOC and the word spelled out JT. Apparently, a whole bunch of people kind of had our name, weirdos, but that's the right. Really? How are you, my guy?
Oh, just hanging in there, doing my thing. Just
did you say doing my thing?
Doing my thing.
Oh, my thing, not
my
doing
thing.
My thing. Okay, good. That's good.
No.
Don't want to do the methane.
Yeah, you know what? Like sometimes.
It is Wednesday.
That's true.
Gotta get over the hump day.
Your mid-season release of methane. I don't know. That seems like too much, but
probably
I'll go with it.
Hey,
how you been?
I'm good, man. We are knee deep in getting stuff going. Signed your son and my son up for competitive flag football with a former. I'll be helping coach with a former Colorado State Ram, and so we're excited. 6-year-old flag football. Let's go. Super Bowl.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little delayed.
That's good.
So,
and then we're all going on a cruise in like 3 weeks. So
that's true.
Be super dope.
Yep. We need some time, some R&R, so to speak.
Yeah, but we're going with the kids and stuff. It's not R&R, bro.
No,
we're punching the clock. We are working all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be fun.
We'll take advantage.
Maybe we'll potty out there. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll take advantage of Kids Club every once in a while, or whatever it's called.
For sure. Yep, for sure. Mm-hmm. The dump and go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Who we got in the chat? Big E Bronco.
What up, Big E?
How's everyone? How you doing? Good to see you. How's everyone doing today? Feel free to throw some comments up there. We love talking to you. Well, do you want to just jump into it?
Let's jump.
Let's start with the Avs.
Yeah, buddy.
We are officially on All-Star break. And Nathan McKinnon will be at the All-Star game representing the Colorado Avalanche. Cale Makar will be at the All-Star game representing the Colorado Avalanche. I think Alexander Georgiev will be there repping the Avalanche. But one notable snub, I guess you could say snub. I would say snub is Mikko Rantanen. Now, based on what I've seen, he doesn't seem too upset about it. I think that's the right thing to say. Whether he believes that or not, you can interpret it that however you want. Right. But it's a snub. Let's be real. It's a snub. He's not in the All-Star game. He has I don't know where he stands at the moment, but he was top 5 scoring in the league. He may have dropped to top 7 or something like that before the break. But regardless, that's an All-Star. Yeah. And it makes me wonder. Just All-Star games are funny. All-Star games are tough. They're. I don't know how you measure. Is it a popularity contest? Is it a skill contest? Is it an amalgamation of both? I think that's kind of what it's become, is an amalgamation of both. But it's hard. We'll talk NBA All-Star too. But what's your feeling on the NHL's format, at least, where everyone gets a record?
I don't even understand what they do. They have probably the coolest options because of the wide world representation and demographics. So I know that they've done a whole bunch of iterations. I love the skills comps, the sniping it, fastest speed skater. I think that they have the best group of, of showcase. And just for the record, Mikko is tied for 6th with Artemi Panarin. Yeah. So not bad. not bad. You think if you were sixth in the league in points that you would be, I don't know, you'd be there. But I bet Miko could also use a little bit of rest. So I bet he's like, I've been there. We're trying to win a cup. But they are represented well. Georgie is there. He's played really good. I kind of want your take on it. So I think it's, for some reason, there's a lot of, but, with some of his displays, and we've seen a couple games that really got out of hand for him. That said, it's been a while since the Avalanche have had an all-star level goalie.
Right.
So, question for you. Does he deserve it? Is he really playing that well in between the pipes?
I think statistically you would say he's within that realm. I don't know. I feel maybe like he's benefiting from the team success, which is great. Like that's a good thing too. I love Georgiev. I think he's had a very yo-yo kind of season. Times where you can really rely on him and he makes some clutch saves, and other times he just kind of lets some easy ones by. But goaltending wasn't our strength when we won the cup 2 years ago.
It's really been a while since it really has been kind of the backbone, right? I mean, Varlamov, there are a few seasons where he was phenomenal, but he was hurt a lot, inconsistent. They've kind of bounced guys back there, so because it's really kind of been since Patty, right? That has been an identifiable advantage for the Avalanche. Currently, Georgiev ranks 27th in goals against.
Yeah.
Again, mind you, it's a little bit different, right? With hockey, it's not like QBR where it's there's 32 starters in the NFL. Really, a lot of teams will have almost an even split with their goalies, especially kind of this point in the regular season. So just to note that with a 2.91 goals against average, but as of late, he's been, I think he's been a much better asset. I also think that the team's playing better defense. It makes sense, right? If you're able to see the puck, you're having more opportunities to control your rebounds. You're gonna play better. It's weird. It's weird how that will go.
Yeah, special teams plays into that too. Our penalty kill started great, and then it really fell off. And so, as a goaltender, you kind of it can be a little feast or famine when you're out there, and if you're not getting guys clearing pucks out and taking away chances on the power play, then you could be put in a really bad position. And so I think there's some of that. It's an accumulation of things. Do I think he's an all-star? Not specifically. Like, again, I think he's benefiting from being on this team, but I'm glad that he's there. I think he has the potential. I think what we saw with Kemper and honestly Grubauer when we were in the playoffs, when he was with us, some guys rise to that occasion, right? Like, and that's really all you need. On a championship level team, we see this with the Nuggets. The regular season is a grind sometimes, right? And so, like, if you can flip a switch and turn it on when it matters, that's the biggest thing that you look for. And I think a hot goalie will get you really far. Will win you a playoff series or two. So we'll see when the playoffs roll around what he's made of.
I think to note, he's had more ice time than any other hockey goalie in the NHL this year. So
yeah, that's true.
He's showing up day in and day out, and a big part of what this team is doing. So some of his numbers are there. It's also, team's got to empty the bench and try and score on you because they're down 3 goals. So sometimes maybe you're giving up a late one, it's 6-on-4, and they're throwing everything at the kitchen sink at you, and you kind of have a goal or two to play with. So I do think he's a product of the team's success, but I'll never complain about getting one there. I think that there's probably other players more deserving, but good for him. And then again, it shows, the positive light that is Joe Sakic's ability to bring in, to make choices at critical positions. So though we have not fared well with the Nas versus Nichushkin signing, I think letting letting the goalies go after the cup and bringing in Georgiev has shown at least to be one. I mean, juice for squeeze. They're getting a pretty good deal with what they're paying for it. So excited about that. So I think Mikko should be there in the end. They have 3 of the top 10 players in the world, in my opinion. And sometimes guys get squeezed out because someone from the Sharks has to be in it. I get it. That's why Rockies play. Like, the Rockies probably shouldn't have an all-star representative a lot, and they got to have one because why else would people? I don't know. I'll look at
that's the rules.
But hopefully they get some good R&R and come back just as hot as they were when they left.
Yeah, Biggie Bronco. Don't worry. We're going to talk lots of Broncos, lots of football. We're going to start out. We're going to talk a little bit of Nuggets first, though. Let's transition to the win the other night against Milwaukee. A big win against. You could argue it's an NBA championship finals preview. They kind of said the same thing with Boston when we beat Boston. As much as I love Jokic, and I will never get tired of talking about Jokic, I think we got to shine the light on Jamal Murray a little bit, because Jamal's just when I was talking about for the Avs, playoff risers, big game shot taker, shot maker, nothing rattles him. Jamal is just, he's cooking right now. He's cooking in the biggest games when they need him. He's there. He's making shots, and him and Jokic are making that 2-game. Yeah. It just looks so easy. It looks so easy for both of them.
I mean, they are the straw, right? And so when you have a guy like that can come in and light it up, mind you, right? So Damian Lillard is now a Buck along with Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton, who that's a formidable 4. And you really need someone other than Nikola Jokic to come in and be a strong player. And so with that, Jamal comes out, drops 35 in 36 minutes, 5 assists. He was the player or the man. And it's great to see it. It's interesting just for the fact that, there's always been, or we have had opportunities to have a really big push to get Jamal into the All-Star game. It's because of moments like this, right? What he's capable of, what we saw in the postseason. I just don't think he's that interested in it, right? Or feels the need to go out there and drop 25 a night so that he can get his own personal recognition. I do think he is a guy that's just about the dubs, and he's going to do what needs to get done for a team to win. If that's score 35 points, he's going to do it. If that's score 12 points, be a distributor and play good defense, he's humble enough to understand he can impact this team in a lot of ways. But again, it's just another reminder about where the Nuggets are at, right? That they can, again, they can turn it on when they want to or need to turn it on. And Jamal, to me, is kind of that ignition switch. Jokic raises the floor of the entire team just because he's so phenomenal. So you're probably not going to fall so far. But when Jamal's on, that shows the incredible ceiling that this group has.
Yeah. And it's important. I mean, it's important for someone else to be, offensively cooking. When you only have to focus on one guy, that makes everything a lot harder for everyone else on the floor, or especially him. And then, if you have a safety valve like Jamal that, can fill it up whenever, make tough shots against bigger opponents, smaller opponents, doesn't really matter who you throw at him. He's gonna, even if it doesn't look like a good shot, he gets to the spot, he gets to where he wants to be, and he's able to affect the game that way as a scorer. We're watching a really special thing, I think. If you have the ability to see the Nuggets games, I know that's been difficult over the last few years. If you haven't, turn on a game when it's on national TV, because there's quite a few left for Denver coming down the stretch.
Get in soon. The bandwagon wasn't filled to capacity last season. There's still room. There is still room.
That duo is just maybe the best in basketball right now.
I mean, I don't think that there's another one. I think you could make arguments for, but this team has carried, they are the defending NBA champions. They swept, a really good duo in Anthony Davis and LeBron James last year. So I don't know of one better, because really the only question that we've ever really asked about this team every year, it seems, is whether or not the the bench will show up. And Jamal setting this kind of precedent for how he's going to play really reduces the need to answer that question.
Yep.
If your stars are combining for 60 points, that's on shots, let alone the 17 assists between them. You're gonna go far, kid. You're gonna go far.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think? Really quick. What do you think about Peyton Watson's play? I feel like he is a better version of what Christian Braun brought last year. Am I off?
No, I don't think so. I think Christian Braun, when you get the playoffs, it's going to be probably an 8-man rotation. You're gonna have Reggie, you're gonna have what now looks like right now Christian Braun, and you're gonna have Peyton Watson, and they're gonna mix and match as needed. I think Peyton Watson's a great fill-in for Aaron Gordon. If Aaron Gordon has to go out, you're giving up some bulk and some size and strength at times, but you're gaining length, you're gaining athleticism. Not even like that Peyton Watson's a better athlete necessarily, but just that length and his ability to kind of play help defense, and kind of roam a little bit has been really huge for them. It's something that we're gonna have to keep an eye on, especially offensively. But he's shown he's not afraid of the moment. He's had games where, he's shooting well and he just continues to go for it and doesn't look scared of the moment. There's times he's overshot balls, but he continues to put them up. I think he's just got to find more comfort in that role. But I think the coaching staff is going to allow him to grow with the team. He's going to get more minutes as we kind of hit the end of the season, depending on where we are in the seeding and how much they care about where they're at. But I think that I trust him to come into a series and be impactful. I do. I don't know that he's going to be he's going to give you as much offensively as Bruce did, but I think Reggie will give you the offense, and Christian and Peyton will give you some defense, and that might be enough. I'm not loving the way that unit's looking together right now, but that rotation shrinks during the playoffs, and so we said the same thing last year going into the playoffs, that our bench was our weak point, right? But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. The guys came in and made plays, even if they're not offensive plays, they're impactful plays down the stretch with their defense, their ability to recover on defense and cover up guys that, that other guys may not be able to as the game goes on. And so you fill in gaps as you go. You kind of read the matchups, and I think those guys can come in and handle that.
Yeah, I agree. A defensive lineup of Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, Caldwell Pope, Aaron Gordon, and Jokic, for example. That's, if you got to get a shutdown possession, but pretty good about what they can get out there. DeAndre Jordan has played some pretty impressive minutes for what he's asked to do, in my opinion, as of late. Not that would be the answer or want to be the answer. So I do agree with Mr. Chris. They need to make one more move. And bring in someone that they feel comfortable with, not only defensively fitting in, but offensively. We talked about that. Someone that can hit a three when we need one. But I'm really excited. Like the Avs, they're peaking at this time. You're about to get some much needed rest with the NBA All-Star game coming up soon, and hopefully they make a move for some of the guys that we talked about last week.
Yeah, just one.
Okay, come back, Brucey.
I know, right? Just some supplementary moves that give them a little more flexibility with that depth. But even if they stand pat, I still feel comfortable with them. I was listening to one of the other local podcasts, and they just they brought up that Denver's got the number one clutch defense. I don't think that's I don't think that's coincidental. No. They've been there in tough games. They know how to win in those tough games. They know how to flip the switch. And during the regular season, you pick and choose those moments. When you don't have as a team like they didn't against the Knicks the other week, you let that one go and you rest and you get back to it the next day. Not every game on the schedule can be a game that you put 100% effort into, or else you're just going to burn out.
Yep. Yeah. And sometimes it's to see what works and what doesn't, right? I mean, the regular season, when you're at this stage of their window that the Nuggets are, it's not that you're not trying to win every game, but you are also trying to find answers for when it matters in the playoffs, right? What about if I have this guy in the last 5 minutes? How's he going to respond to this, right? Or,
Right.
How is this player going to look when he's featured for X amount of time? There's some data collecting that is necessary to do through the season. You'll take some L's in that process, but they got us feeling pretty good. And I think Christian will be better in the playoffs too. I think his aggression and what he's done last year, and really his time in at Kansas, he never backed down. And I think once it starts becoming much more of an intense environment, I do think he's one of those guys that elevates his game when it gets a little bit more, do or die. So yeah. I'm excited to see how that group goes, and if they can continue to develop it's going to be a nice run, over the next 5 years. See how many we can get. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4.
Yeah.
Not 5.
Big E says, I'll call BS. I'm putting 100% effort. Every basketball game, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, all of them put in 100% effort and all 62 games.
Yeah, I don't know that the guys aren't putting in effort. I think they try and win all of the time. I think sometimes you're not going to have the same level of effort each game, right? It's like parenting. Okay. There's some days where I'm rested, I'm focused. My dad game is strong. Sometimes I wake up, didn't have really good sleep, maybe ate pretty crappy. I'm giving 100% of what I have that day, but my 100% isn't the same that I had the other day. And I think I don't think this is not a mail-in group. We haven't had a lot of Michael Malone come to Jesus press conferences, right? Like where he's mad, and he's a guy that will do it. And so I don't think that's that. So I think it's a good point. E is identifying that it's different. So this group is playing hard. Sometimes the ball goes in the bucket. Sometimes it don't.
Yeah, and
who are going to be the players for them to take those shots as the season goes?
Yeah, and I think it's in that same vein, when Magic and Bird played each other, they rose to that occasion. They understood the moment. They put in more effort probably in that one matchup that they got during the regular season, or 1 or 2 matchups they got during the regular season, than they did against teams that they played more often, maybe in their division, or with less marquee guys. Those rivalries games, those games against teams that you feel are equal or close to equal competition, just like the Nuggets have been doing this year with Boston and with the Bucks most recently. They rise to those occasions. They play that defense. They make that extra rotation. They're able to put in a little more. They're motivated a little bit more. Yeah. I think it's just human nature. It's not that they are not putting in effort every game, like Doc said, but those moments matter to some people and they don't matter to others. But I think we got a team of guys that wake up and give everything for those games. And I think that's what makes them championship contenders, and we'll continue to make them championship contenders moving on.
Yep. Nailed it.
You want to move on? You want to talk Broncos? I think Big E wants us to play or talk Broncos. So
yeah, we got a few things to talk about. So
before we hit Broncos, let's just talk Super Bowl in general.
Okay.
How are we feeling? Are we in mourning? Are we hopeful? I can tell you I'm a little bit in mourning, but I'm also a little bit hopeful. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. How are you feeling about Chiefs versus Niners Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think it'll be a good matchup, right? Like, I think if you like football, you're getting, maybe the most complete offensive group minus, maybe the extra elite quarterback play, for instance. But Brock Purdy has been solid all year. He does exactly what they need him to do. I think San Francisco has the best set of skill players in a group in the league, from running back to tight end to receiver. They are phenomenal. Good offensive line, defense has struggled a little bit over the last few weeks, but really turned it up on Sunday in the second half. And you have Patrick Mahomes, that is an alien. And though he plays for the Chiefs, won't root for the Chiefs, you have to appreciate if you are a football person, really, what that guy is able to accomplish. He's been statistically up to this point, right? I mean, he is in a stratosphere, all his own, 14-3 in the playoffs. These last 2 weeks are the first 2 road games he's ever played in the playoffs, and being the underdog in both, and has done what the team needed to be able to get them over the hump. And we all noted that this team is not as good as some of the years past Chiefs teams, yet here we are. And so I'm sad because I really would have liked Detroit to get in. I think that story would have been phenomenal. I'm a Lamar Jackson fan. I appreciate his game. It was poor coaching and game planning going in, and that really lost them the opportunity, that and some really bonehead plays. So I feel for that. That said, I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to boycott it. And, go Niners.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's all you can do, right? I feel okay about it. It does worry me. Obviously, I'm rooting for the Niners. But when you have the best quarterback on the field, you always got a chance to win that game. And for at least right now and the foreseeable future, that's Patrick Mahomes. Even on his down seasons, he's still cooking. He's still getting the results they want, which is wins at the end of the day, and with a really depleted offense at times too. And he just finds ways to throw guys open, get completions, pick up key first downs in big moments, and get his team in the end zone when they need to. It's not always glamorous, but you got to give props where they're deserved. And with all that being said, I'm hoping that the 49ers steamroll them in the Super Bowl, and it's not even close.
Yeah. I would agree, Chris. Spagnuolo has been phenomenal. That's been probably one of the best additions they've had over the last 5 years to put them in this kind of position. Their defense has really been great, and I don't think that will stop on Sunday. I think it'll be a lower scoring affair, even though both offenses can put up some points in a hurry. I think each team really has gotten here with solid quarterback play and really good defensive play. So I think it'll be a good game. Do you think that the Lions would have had a shot to beat Kansas City?
Do I? Yeah, I do. I think they would have had a shot. I don't know. I mean,
they beat them on the road to start the season.
Right. I think they would have had a shot. I think either of these teams would have a shot. I like the chances of the Niners to beat them a little bit better.
Yeah.
But that running game for Detroit, it was really good down the stretch. That was something that if they could maintain a good balance of pass and throw, which they did in that first half of that playoff game against the Niners, it seemed like a good recipe for success. I think they could have been in it. I just think they made some bad plays down the stretch and were maybe a little over aggressive, with their play calling as far as going forward on fourth down. Who knows? They kick some field goals, then maybe they win that game. But you got to live with those decisions, and the 49ers find themselves there, and Detroit's at home on the couch, unfortunately.
And for all the people upset at Dan Campbell, that's how they played all season.
Right.
The calls were good. They hit guys in the hands. The throws hit guys in the hands. They just couldn't come up with it. So it's not like it's 4th and 12 at your own 30 and you're going for it. It was, it's an opportunity. They knew that they were playing a better team. And if they would have gotten one of those 4, they know that they're putting a nail in the coffin. Is it all the way around?
Yeah.
Not yet, but that definitely would really impact me if I was on the opposing side. I heard Alfred Williams, former Denver Bronco, say, anything more than 14 or kind of a 2-score lead, I feel like we're out, as a defensive player, especially when you're in the second half. There's just the gravity of what that would have been. If that team would have been able to go up 3 touchdowns and in the third quarter, I think that really would have been the nail. Yeah. I don't think that the Niners would have really had the ability or maybe the vision that they could come back. So I think you're playing with that to really knock them out. That's what you've been doing. That's what you've been used to. So kind of going against that, it was a little bit concerning. So I'm all for it. I think, hindsight is always correct. Looking back at it, should have done. But the kicker might have missed the dang kick anyway, right? Like those things aren't automatic anymore. So phenomenal game by all accounts. It was pretty good football, right? Like, I mean, not necessarily the most crisp playoff games, championship weekend, but they were competitive. And, I think it was probably the best 4 teams this season. And they all kind of deserve to be there. And now we get in my opinion, probably the matchup that most people thought, or a lot of people thought going into the season on next Sunday.
Yeah. And worth mentioning, we got Kyle Shanahan and Christian McCaffrey on the Niners. Saw a tweet by Shefty, I think it was, Shanahan and McCaffrey, obviously, Mike Shanahan and Ed McCaffrey won 3 Super Bowls together. 2 Super Bowls together. 2 Super Bowls together.
Yeah.
And, maybe a little.
They each have 3 rings. So I do think Eddie Mack won one with the Giants. And then Shanny won as offensive coordinator for the Niners. So, but together, it's pretty cool. Father and son, winning one, or winning a couple together, and it'd be a pretty cool story. Too bad it's not wearing the same uniform that we would have liked, but
that'd have been ideal.
Yeah, we water under the bridge or something.
Let's keep on the Broncos talk though. Let's keep NFL, but let's switch to the rumors that have been swirling around a little bit about Sean Payton and the NFL draft. It sounds as though many people, but most notably, I've heard Cecil Lammey from what is it? What is it now? It's not the Fan anymore.
DenverSports.com.
Okay, whatever it is, saying that he believes that Sean Payton has a guy that he wants to go get in this draft, and that they're going to be aggressive in moving forward. I think James Palmer was on one of the podcasts this morning, maybe DNVR, talking about it a little bit, and what that might look like for Denver. Let's just start at the very basics. Would you be in favor of them moving up and moving maybe off of some, well-established, effective Bronco players that are already in-house to go get a quarterback that, we think has potential, but, may just end up being a question mark moving into the season?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, no matter who you get, we found that out with Russ. We found that, right? Like, oh yeah, we got like who they were yesterday or who we think they might be, might not be who we would like him to be. I really believe that Sean Payton has a good idea of what he needs to be successful. Whether or not it'll pan out, who knows? We'll see. So if Sean Payton moved up to get a quarterback and what it would take to get up there, I would feel confident in that because I think Sean Payton understands the quarterback position more than your average Joe or Jane. So I would be all for it if that package includes Pat Surtain. I think really only for Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
I think Drake May is a really good prospect. I'm excited about what he might be able to do. I don't know if he's a trade the farm guy for me. I think Caleb Williams is kind of the special talent in this draft, in my opinion. But again, I mean, you're rolling the dice. I'd love it. I really look and like. So we've talked about it. I've watched a little bit more Bo Nix.
Yeah.
And I don't think he would be a guy that you would have to go up for. Maybe someone wants to go in the top 10 to get him. But I think that the Broncos are in good range to be able to get Bo Nix. We'll see how he looks, especially this week at the Senior Bowl. I think it'll be a good opportunity for his stock to get solidified. But I don't agree with this. I don't think he is Chad Pennington. I think he has a really good arm. I think he has a really good skill set. He's athletic, seasoned, smart guy, And so not an elite arm, but I think he has a good enough arm. I think it's above average, being able to put some heat on it. I think he has a nice touch. It'll be whether or not he's a good fit. Can he do what's going to be asked of him? I think really right now that's the one guy. I'm getting on a little bit of the JJ McCarthy back end number one, a la Lamar Jackson of 2018 kind of playing. So do I think that the Broncos will make, and I think the way that Cecil utilized it was a power move. I think if there is an opportunity to go get a really good quarterback, whether that be via trade, if that be in the draft, I think Sean Payton will do it. He never really did it in New Orleans because he didn't have to.
Right.
Yeah, Sean Payton. I heard Adam Schefter say often that out of all the guys he's been around, Sean Payton has hit on the most quarterbacks in the draft by, hey, I think this guy's got what it takes. I think he's going to be special. I don't think he's going to pan out. I think he's going to be good. Shefty said his eye for those guys has been or is the best that he's had or been around and seen. So I'm excited about that. I think the fruition of what the plan will look like as it unfolds will really start to map out, one, what's the Broncos' timeline? How far away do they really think they are? And two, what's the long-term plan just for that position in general? And so I'm excited about it. I think they could go up. I don't think they will. I don't think so. Not a power move, because I don't see any of those teams moving out. If you're the Bears, I guess, could you be talked into keeping Justin Fields? Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think, it's also been noted that the OCs that were interviewed for the Bears job were interviewing with the knowledge that they would get to work with Caleb Williams. So I think they're not going to move off one. If I'm Washington, I'm not moving off one or off two, right? And then New England maybe is the question mark. Do they feel like they're ready to compete in that division? If they're not sold on Jaden Daniels as being a elite pick, maybe they'll move off of it and tank for another year, recoup, see what they could do, that kind of stuff. So I think 3 is probably the spot that they would want to or need to get to ensure themselves one of the 3 guys. I don't know if I wouldn't part with Pat Surtain for Jaden Daniels, and I love Jaden Daniels. I think he's going to be a really good player. I don't think he's so special that or does the things that Sean Payton wants to be done in this offense to get rid of a top 10 NFL player, in my opinion. So I think you got to keep a guy like that. Would I be all for sending this year's one, next year's one, and yep. If we need the guy, and that we need a long-term answer at what that'll look like. So I'm excited, and just the buzz about it, right? It's fun just to think about the Broncos being that team to, you see it on the ticker and it's like Broncos send, like, oh, I remember the Russell Wilson trade and excited, like those things are just, it will energize the city and the fan base. So I do think that they are going to take a quarterback in the draft. My guess right now is that it'll be Michael Pratt out of Tulane. I think that that'll be the guy that they'll take, second, third round. I think he's a guy that can come in and do some really good stuff right now. But we'll see. Yeah, Chris, they won't be, right? Everyone wants one. Atlanta, etc. Teams that have more pieces to be able to offer, in particular draft capital, than the Broncos do, and so it will be tough. I think it's going to be tough sledding. So we shall see. We shall see how it goes. But what do you think? Do you think that this is a team that is really going to do what needs to get done to get up there for that talent, or do you think, it's people's read on what would make sense?
Yeah. I'm just trying to come at it from a viewpoint of Sean Payton and George Payton. that Russ experiment didn't work. And so they've got to recover somehow. And I think the only way you can kind of do that is if you go get a guy. And I don't know if that means you move up and get, Drake May or Caleb Williams. I don't know if that's what that means necessarily. But I think no matter what, they're going to commit to someone. And I think it's going to be a young guy, because of your salary cap situation. You may as well get a quarterback that is cheap, that you kind of have some control over that contract moving forward. But also, I just think the expectations around this team they may be at an all-time low, but we still expect progress, right? And so I think if you're not able to if you go get a filler guy, if you get a Baker Mayfield, if you get a Sam Darnold, whoever that guy would end up being, if your goal is not to bring someone in for them to develop, then what are we doing? We're wasting time, right? We're wasting time. I don't think Sean Payton came here to do that. I think George Payton probably been feeling some pressure after arguably one of the worst trades in Broncos history. And you got to come back, and you either got to be aggressive or you got to lay low. And I think they don't strike me as the type that are going to lay low. Again, I don't know that means they move up to 1 or 2. 3, maybe you go get one of whoever of those 3 top quarterbacks is there. Maybe you're happy with any one of them that you land, you develop them. I have a feeling they probably would target, someone in particular. I'm not sure who that would be at this moment. I would guess Drake May maybe seems the most attainable. I don't know that you're going to get, like you said, I don't know that Chicago's going to move off of 1. Maybe. What I will say, and to Chris's point, we may not, the Broncos may not be the only team trying to move up, but I think Patrick Surtain's your kicker. Like if you match or try to match a lot of those same deals, if you put Patrick Surtain in that deal, whatever it is, you probably get it done. And I'm not necessarily wanting to trade Pat Surtain at all. I really enjoy him. I hope he's a Bronco for a long time. But again, you're talking about an already elite level talent that is fairly cheap at the moment, and teams will be all over that, And so I tend to think that they'll make some sort of move. Yep. I don't know what that is. And it kind of depends on how draft day plays out. It looks like right now quarterbacks are at the top and they're going to continue to be there, but we'll see what happens at the combine. We'll see what happens with individuals' health, as we get closer to the draft. Those rumors start swirling about, Alel Collins is going to be a sure thing at the top of the draft, and then, makes a terrible mistake.
Wanted for murder.
Right. And then, and then it's just like, things happen. So, So we'll see.
Yeah. Laremy Tunsil, people drop. The draft is volatile to say the least. But teams are quarterback starved, so you never know. My hope, to be honest, is if the Broncos aren't one of those teams, I really hope there's some trade ups so that good players continue to fall to the Broncos at 12. Yeah. Broncos, if quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, at worst, they're going to get the 9th best position player, which is, it's a pretty deep class for a lot of the areas that they need. It's a pretty deep offensive tackle draft. It's a really deep edge rusher draft. There's some good defensive linemen in this draft. Tight ends, there's some pretty solid, good group of tight ends. And as you can see, that to me is the equalizer right now in the NFL. I've said it for a little while. Just because of that position, if you can get a pass catcher who can be on the field as a blocker, doesn't have to be dominant, but can be a force. So they don't know what you're doing with them. I mean, you look at Mark Andrews, you look at Kittle, you look at Laporta, you look at, most of the team's success in the playoffs, had a competent above average receiving threat at tight end. So the Broncos can go a lot of different ways. I'm super excited about that. I think they can trade down, get more capital, stay within the teens, maybe or early 20s, and still get a really good player. I do think they need to come away this offseason with some hope at that position. Yeah. So you never know who might be available too. The Russ domino might make someone like Kenny Pickett available if
Right,
they
right.
go to Pittsburgh, or who knows? Who knows what's going to be happening? There might be some people that are available that we're not aware of, and I think it will get shaken out relatively soon. So I hope they make a move, just because I think it'd be awesome. I remember when we thought that they were going to draft Justin Fields, and how that felt that moment. And it's like, oh, like, yeah, like that's dope. And this team kind of needs a moment of that's dope.
For sure. Yeah, we need a little hope infusion. You know what I mean? If the Broncos moved up, say, to the 1, 2, or 3 spot, if we think that's where quarterbacks are going to go, who would you want them to take? I think if you're talking those tier 1 quarterbacks, what's your preference there?
I mean, my preference still is Caleb Williams. I think it's like prospect fatigue, right? Like
yeah.
People are just tired, so they mix and match, mock drafts that don't have Caleb at 1. Caleb's going to go 1. Hell or high water. I don't know why he wouldn't.
Yeah,
it'd be pretty interesting. Who do I think would be the best fit for Sean Payton? I do think it would be Drake May.
Okay.
I think he has his tool set and what he was asked to do in Carolina, I think fit. So, maybe if Jane Daniels went 2, would Sean Payton make a move to 3 to get Drake May? Yeah, I think that would be a good fit. I think for where the Broncos are at, I think Bo Nix would be a good play there. And Deshaun Watson pre-massage table was the number 12 pick, right? And so, right. I think if you can get someone, in the early teens ish, Josh Allen was number 7. So could they move up a couple spots and secure him if that were their guy? Yeah, would I feel good about that? Yeah. I think they need to leave with their guy, but not just a guy. So if they don't take a quarterback, I'm going to feel okay too, because that means their guy wasn't available. And and we'll wait till next year, but I do think that they're gonna come away with one. I think they'll add a vet, Sam Darnold. I think that'd be my prediction now. Throwing that one in, I think Sammy will be here, and I think they'll draft someone, whether that's Pratt, McCarthy, someone else that maybe has tools that can sit and kind of see what you got. You develop one with the understanding of, when we turn the page next year, the slate's clean, and we're going to go get someone that we feel like can help us compete.
Yeah. I think I would lean Williams also, but I do think that if they're targeting someone, it's probably May, and I do think he's probably the best fit. He said he thinks that Williams is going to be a bust. Maybe, there's always a chance. The guys, Jadeveon Clowney came out and wasn't the player you thought he was going to be in the
until this year.
Yeah, right. There's always exceptions. This is a volatile sport. And
hey, I mean, it's player and fit, right? Like you have no idea if Sam Darnold didn't go to the Jets, is he a different player? Right. I mean, there's a ton of those. Alex Smith, right? At the beginning of his career, you saw what happened when he had someone that could coach him in a way that mattered. So there's a lot of those guys. So I absolutely think that could be, the fit is going to be huge. Can this guy do what I'm asking him to do? And, because Drew Brees did not have an above average trait. He was smart. I guess you want to give him that. Good leadership, but he had a good arm, not great arm. He was shorter, wasn't fast necessarily. So it was, can he make the throws in the places that we need him to and understand what's being asked? And I think, and I think you can get more guys like that than, we need a freak of an athlete to come in, and we hope they develop. I think there's some pretty smart, in-tuned guys that they can go get. So, but Caleb Williams I will be shocked if he is not the best quarterback in this draft class, and maybe maybe is good or better than Stroud and Bryce Young. And I think we really have to think about how phenomenal he played. Even his down games were ridiculous. So I think he's going to be a special kid to watch. And I'm glad that he, for the most part, probably will not end up in our division, Because if he went to Vegas, like just like that'd be rough. Oh, that'd be rough, bro.
That would be sad. That would be very sad. Yeah, of those second tier guys, or maybe some people consider third tier guys, I like McCarthy. I keep saying I hate to say it because I'm an Ohio State fan. There's a lot of question marks there. I can certainly acknowledge that as far as what he was asked to do on the football field on game days in his collegiate career. I've seen enough though to know that he's got arm talent, to know that he's got the ability to make big plays. I think if you're gonna gamble on upside, I think you gamble on McCarthy, just because I think if that, even it being such a big question mark, if he's competent at processing plays and making adjustments on the field, you probably have the better of the three. Maybe if you're talking Penix, Nix, and McCarthy, he probably ends up rising above at least those guys in that class, maybe further. But it is a question mark, and it's a big risk, and you may have to sit him for a little while, and I don't know if Broncos fans will be excited about that or not. I would be okay with it. And if you can move back and get the guy, then even better. I don't know that they'll go that route. I don't know if you want to take that risk if you really like a guy, but if you can, and you can get that optional fifth year, making him like a back into the fifth round or a first round guy, I don't see why you don't do it. I think if that's the route if you're not getting one of those top tier guys, then that's the route I would go. It's just, I'm intrigued by his arm talent. I'll say that. As we get closer to the draft, I'll do some more digging for everyone, and we'll give some a little more in-depth analysis as we go, and maybe that'll change. But if I was picking today, that's probably where I would lean.
Yeah, and I'm going to send an open invitation out for our peeps. One, if you are a Michigan fan, you watched a lot of McCarthy. We'd love to chat with you about what 100%. And/or if the draft is your game. Definitely would like to have some combos. I think for the reasons that you said, would he be worth it? I think so. Like in that scenario, with understanding he's not going to play this year.
Right.
Probably got to gain like 15 pounds. He's a little wiry, but he's a phenomenal athlete. Right? He runs pretty well. I think it'll be really telling to kind of see how that works. It would be really interesting, right? Jim Harbaugh lands with the Chargers, and you get his quarterback. Like,
it'd be fun.
It'd be even more fun, right? Like, just how messed up is this division? So, I do like his arm talent too. I like his makeup. I think that he is pretty good mechanically, and so really, it's just his frame. He needs to add some mass, in my opinion, and wasn't asked to do a ton, and had a really good offensive line. So it's not like it's some of my issues again with when you take a quarterback from a really good program. This was my worry with C.J. Stroud last year. My worry with Trevor Lawrence, with any of the Bama QBs, et cetera, is you're playing with a whole bunch of guys that are going to play on Sunday against a whole bunch of guys that aren't ever going to play on Sunday, and you're not under pressure the same as some of the other guys. Some of the hard stuff to be able to identify how they're going to handle stress and getting hit, and some of those things, the tighter windows, and all that kind of stuff, are those things that you can be able to do. I think guys can learn that, and with him being, I think he's only 21. I don't think he turns 22 until into the season, if I think so. Yeah, you got that 5-year option as a first round pick. You have the 2 franchise tags after that. Essentially, you got him till he's 30.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you can't ignore too that the guy was 27 and won two Big Ten championships, 2-0 against Ohio State, or 3-0. Right? Is he 3-0 against Ohio State? But 3 Big Ten championships, in the college football playoff twice, and won a natty. And they beat Alabama and a really good Washington team to get there. So it's not like he's not good. just whether or not this is a guy. You know, his numbers last year were essentially like Russell Wilson's, the 2,851 yards, 22 touchdowns, 4 picks.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Russ was. Throw the ball. No, we're not going to throw the ball a lot. And give you some easy throws when we need to. We need you to make a play. The question is, can he be more than that? Because obviously that did not work
Right.
For Sean Payton. But if he's intelligent, I think Sean Payton tells you when they're going to be open. Hey, this is our first read. This is our first read. Throw the ball right about there. And if he can do that, like Brock Purdy is doing right now, with his talent, his arm talent, I think the Broncos would be in a good spot. Whoever kind of takes him and is willing to be able to let him grow. It'll be an interesting thing. I just don't know if Sean Payton is that, he's that patient.
Yeah. I think we had one question.
Well, I want to ask this one. I thought this was Orange Crush. Just, the hoodie didn't land anywhere, which to me is just super interesting, right? Probably the most accomplished coach in NFL history. Gets passed up by some, Raheem Morris, who I think should have been a head coach a while ago. I really like that hire.
Me too. Me too.
Why Belichick isn't in play for Washington, I don't know. Talk about like they need a culture swap. That would be a smart play in my opinion. But not someone that made it anywhere. Tennessee, all that kind of stuff. I think those have been teams that could have been won. Do you think that we've seen the last of Bill Belichick as a head coach? And then like Orange Crush had asked, what do you think about him getting added to our coaching staff?
Yeah. No, I don't think we've seen the last of Belichick, barring something major. I think that he will be a hot commodity at some point. I think if you're Belichick and you're stepping down from the job that you've been in for as long as you have, you may as well handpick your next destination. And if that's not this year, there's an opportunity that there may be a team that is on the bubble that you'd like to get in there next year, see how the Jets and Giants do. Maybe he just wants to go and take one of their places if they don't show up, like there are landing spots that he's probably eyeing, that he would be happy to go to. Obviously lots of people thought he would go to the Chargers. Clearly that's not something that he wanted. I don't think people weren't calling him is what I'll say. I think he probably got lots of calls and he probably said no to a lot of people. And so I think at some point he'll land a gig again and he'll run the show, wherever he goes, he'll run the show from top to bottom. And at this point, he probably deserves that in his career to just be that guy. And whether that's not your team philosophy and you didn't give him a call, or you wanted him and he didn't want to be there, I think that those are possibilities that just, it didn't work out this season. And he's just a guy, like he's been in football for how old is he now? 70, I don't think 70. So yeah, I don't think he's gonna walk away. I don't know that, and I don't know that he would take a job as a consultant or as a backup, coordinator or whatever. I think, he's become accustomed to a certain role, and that's what he expects to do at the next location, wherever that is.
Yeah, it's kind of hard once you get all of that, right? Once you become the CEO to go to another organization and be a manager.
Right, exactly.
Could he do that? I worry that the game's passed him a little bit. I think that there are, in the sense of what the league is looking for with the coach.
Sure.
And, I think the places that he would excel at is a team that has a established quarterback. And I mean established as in Pro Bowler, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because we've seen his skill set at building the roster, a well-rounded roster, have not been great. Mixed results without someone elite at the quarterback position. He's made some poor decisions when it comes to how you coach offense.
Yeah.
And so I would actually agree with Chris here. Belichick running the show isn't necessarily a great thing, and I think some of the teams recognize that and didn't call and didn't connect. So I don't think we've seen the last of Bill, but I don't know that. I think that we've seen the last of the greatness of Bill.
Sure.
So that's my thought. Hope he lands somewhere. Hoodie is fun in the NFL. I really hope he lands a studio gig, to be honest with you, and just blows it out of the water. It's just super funny and all that stuff. So that's what I look forward to is the Hoodie uncovered or unmasked or whatever.
Get a little bit of personality that maybe we haven't seen for a long time.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
All right, last one. Quick question from Twitter. If by Chris, who's in the chat, Chris Whitwright at Wit8356 on X/Twitter. Who's the guy you want in the draft if the Broncos move back? Let's swerve from quarterbacks because we did some quarterback talk. Is there anyone that you would be excited about the Broncos moving back that's not a quarterback?
Yeah, so if they were to trade back, get some picks, pick something later. Yeah, I think that there are a few. My first and foremost, since it's not a quarterback, I think Terrion Arnold. I know that he has gotten mocked to the Broncos quite a bit. I think he's phenomenal. Them drafting a quarterback or corner, again, at a premium position, I don't care. You need so many of those guys. You go get them everywhere that you can get them. So that to me is that would be my one.
Okay.
And then what's D tackle from Illinois?
Newton, Jerzon Newton.
Yeah. I really like, and they need some interior pass rush help. I think he's a guy that could come in and contribute day one. I don't know if he'll be taken early in the draft or not, but I do think where the Broncos are aiming for, if they were to trade back, that would be a really nice player with some good value for me.
Yeah, Newton was on my list too. I mean, if you can get a guy who can push the pocket from the middle, that's invaluable in this day and age in the game, and it's something we haven't had for a long time. So something I'd like. Jackson Power. Center out of Oregon. If you're going to move back, you're going to have to replace Cushenberry at some point. You may as well get a top-end offensive or interior offensive lineman. I would be fine with that. I like Kool-Aid McKinstry. Don't love his name, but I like what he does on the field. If you can get someone Kool-Aid, who names their kid Kool-Aid? But regardless, I like the idea of going and getting someone to put on the other side. That CB2 position this season wasn't super strong. So at least bring in someone to challenge and hopefully at some point take that over. I don't think you're pushing out Pat anytime soon.
Right.
But someone to come in. And then I really like Cameron Kitchens out of Miami as a safety. I don't know that it's something that you would want. It's not a high value pick, but man, that kid is fun. I don't know if you've watched any of his film or seen him play, but he's fun to watch. He's aggressive. He's a good tackler. I think he's really well rounded. He's a playmaker. He's someone that I would be excited for, but I could understand what safety being one of the probably lower value positions to take someone in the first round, especially for where we are in our growth and development as a team. It's probably not, they're probably not circling that position. But Kitchens is good, man. Chris knows what's up. Says, JT, you're my favorite. Kitchens is a good.
Yeah, I think he's good. I think when you got Caden Stearns and PJ Locke super cheap, if they moved on from a guy like Justin Simmons, maybe I think that would be a pretty smart move. I wouldn't subscribe to that. I just think their offense needs something, man. This has been a really fair bunch. So, I'm a Keon Coleman fan. That guy is, not the most diverse route tree guy, but I think of Cortland Sutton a little bit more get up. I really like Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU. He's the other guy in their dynamic duo. He's a really good player. I don't know that I would take Jatavian Sanders in the first round.
Sure.
But he's a freak. and pretty well-rounded guy. I would take him. Maybe you trade back, get a second-round pick. Maybe that's a guy that you target in round 2 to give you a nice matchup problem. I love Jackson Powers Johnson. I think he's a really good player. I do think you can get a starter in the second or third round with Zach Frazier or Cedric Van Pran from Georgia. So I think that there's a few players to be able to look at. Ton of tackles too. So I think they got some good options, but I really think getting a playmaker in this offense would be ideal. I'd love it if Brock Bowers fell.
Yeah.
And they made a move there. I think he's a difference maker at that position. Wouldn't normally want to take a tight end in the first round. I think you get good ones, second, third, fourth. But I do think he would be a really cool player.
Yeah, for sure. Talk some draft. We'll keep talking draft as we go. As the season rolls along, we get closer. We got Senior Bowl going on right now, practices and whatnot going on right now. I haven't been able to plug into those yet, but I will. We got to get some takeaways from that as the season moves forward. Off seasons, the NFL season never stops. The off season, even though it's not technically off season, with the Super
for 30
Bowl,
teams it is.
For 30 teams, it's already the off season. We're thinking about draft, and so we're going to keep plugged into that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Went a little bit over, but we appreciate your time. Any closing thoughts, Doc?
No.
Perfect. Well, then we are going to wrap it up, but thank you, everyone, for being here. We appreciate you. I used to say go Broncos at the very end, but we can still say go Broncos.
Go all Mile High Sports.
Yeah, go all Mile High Sports. Have a good one, guys.
Take care, everyone. Bye.